Humanity had always been an isolated force in the galaxy, watching from the sidelines as intergalactic conflicts raged across the stars. Earth was not a participant in the vast wars that defined the galaxy. Its inhabitants were unaware of the extent of the violence and political machinations happening just beyond their atmosphere. But that was about to change. The war had reached a critical point. An overwhelming alliance of alien species had been locked in a fierce struggle for dominance for decades, and despite their superior technology and advanced weaponry, one side had stagnated, unable to deliver the final blow. The war had become a stalemate. But then, desperate for any edge, the leading forces of the galaxy turned to Earth for help. The humans had something that could turn the tide, something the others lacked: raw aggression, unpredictability, and the most dangerous predators known to the universe. At first, Earth was reluctant to get involved. The leaders of the planet's governments debated the request, seeing only a huge risk. The human species had been isolated, barely aware of the true scope of the conflict, and not equipped for space war. They had some basic technology, but compared to the alien forces, they were underdeveloped. Why should they throw themselves into the middle of a war that didn't concern them? Why sacrifice millions of lives for a cause they didn't understand? Despite these concerns, there was a growing belief that humanity could bring something unique to the war, something their alien allies could not. Human history was littered with battles won against seemingly insurmountable odds, and they were not a species that bowed easily. Leaders who saw the potential for humanity to make a mark on the galaxy argued that humanity's unpredictable nature and fierce survival instincts could be the key to breaking the stalemate. The final decision came down to a simple truth: Earth's involvement in the war might be the only hope for the galaxy. If the humans didn't join, the war would drag on indefinitely, with no end in sight. If they did, there was a chance, just a chance, that the balance would shift. And so, the leaders of Earth made their decision: they would join the war. But they weren't going to do it in the traditional sense. What made humanity different was their relationship with Earth's predators, the apex species that dominated the planet's ecosystems. The decision was made. If they were going to fight, they would do it with Earth's most dangerous creatures. While the alien forces relied on sleek technology and sophisticated weaponry, humanity would bring something far more primal, far more raw: Earth's apex predators, whose instincts were honed through millions of years of evolution. These creatures had been perfecting their hunting techniques for eons. Tigers, sharks, crocodiles, wolves, and other predators were Earth's most efficient killing machines, and now they would fight on humanity's behalf. The idea was nothing short of terrifying. What other species would think to arm themselves with nature's deadliest predators and unleash them in the middle of an intergalactic war? But that was humanity's strength. They thought differently. A program was quickly established. Geneticists and bioengineers worked tirelessly to enhance these creatures. Some were made more resilient, able to survive in harsh alien environments. Others were given cybernetic augmentations, making them even more efficient killers. The apex predators were to be the spearhead of humanity's military strategy, with human soldiers following their lead. The predators were released into training simulations, preparing for their role in the war. They were put through extreme environments, facing alien terrain, hostile environments, and bizarre new creatures. They adapted quickly. These beasts were primal and cunning. They didn't need instructions, they acted on instinct, surviving by any means necessary, making them perfect weapons in a war where unpredictability could be just as lethal as advanced technology. As preparations were made, humanity's leaders began to see the potential in their unconventional strategy. The predators would be humanity's trump card, a force that could completely change the dynamics of the conflict. For the aliens who had never seen anything like Earth's wildlife, it would be a shock. The predators weren't trained soldiers, they didn't follow a chain of command. They simply hunted, and they hunted to kill. The military was put on high alert as they began to deploy these creatures in the field. The decision was made to send them into a decisive battle first, to see how the predators would react when faced with actual combat. The aliens, unaware of the havoc that would soon be unleashed, were ready for an engagement that they thought would go smoothly. They had no idea what humanity had brought with them, what kind of destruction they were about to face. The day humanity entered the war, it wasn't their technology or advanced weaponry that made the difference. It was the sheer raw violence of Earth's predators. The first mission proved to be a devastating success. As the predators were unleashed on the battlefield, the alien forces were caught completely off guard. The creatures charged through the enemy ranks with an intensity and ferocity that no one could have predicted. There was no strategy, no tactics, just an all-out assault by creatures with one singular purpose: to kill. Alien soldiers scrambled to react, but nothing could stop the carnage. The predators tore through their lines, their jaws and claws cutting down the enemy forces in seconds. The aliens, who had relied on calculated strategies and advanced technology, were unprepared for this chaotic assault. They didn't understand the unpredictability of the Earth's creatures. The battle, which had seemed doomed to drag on for months, was over in a matter of hours. The predators had proven their worth. As news of humanity's success spread, the galaxy's leaders began to realize that the tide of the war had shifted. They had expected Earth's contribution to be negligible at best. Instead, it had turned out to be the most destructive force the galaxy had seen in centuries. Humanity's decision to bring Earth's predators into the war had not only secured their place in the galaxy, but also set a new precedent for how battles would be fought. The war was far from over, but humanity had already changed the game. And the predators, wild and untamed, had become the galaxy's new symbol of unstoppable power. Humanity's decision to bring Earth's worst predators into the war wasn't just a shock to their alien allies. It was a stroke of genius. These apex creatures were unlike anything the galaxy's other species had seen before. While most alien races relied on technology, the human predators were raw, untamed, and primal. They didn't follow the rules of conventional warfare. They fought on instinct, and that made them unpredictable, deadly, and perfect for breaking the stagnant deadlock in the war. The creatures selected for battle were Earth's most dangerous: tigers, bears, wolves, sharks, and even more terrifying animals like crocodiles and spiders. But these were not just animals. They were enhanced, genetically modified, and, in some cases, cybernetically augmented to survive in hostile alien environments. The predators were given cybernetic limbs, reinforced exoskeletons, and neural enhancements that increased their speed, strength, and endurance. They were designed to be the perfect weapons, fearless, adaptable, and deadly in ways the galaxy had never encountered. The Earth forces had a simple but effective strategy: unleash the predators first, and let them tear through the enemy lines. The creatures would cause chaos and disruption, throwing the alien forces into disarray, leaving them unable to respond effectively. The humans followed up by taking advantage of the confusion, sweeping in with their conventional troops to finish what the predators started. It was a strategy rooted in simplicity but powered by the sheer savagery of Earth's most dangerous wildlife. At first, there were concerns among the human soldiers themselves. Many had never seen these creatures in action, let alone fought alongside them. Some had doubts about the ethics of using animals in such a way. But those concerns faded quickly once they saw the predators in action. The creatures were not passive participants, they were killers. They tore through enemy lines without hesitation, their ferocity unmatched by anything the aliens had encountered. The soldiers didn't need to command the beasts. They simply followed them into battle, using the chaos the creatures created to their advantage. In the beginning, the alien forces underestimated the impact these predators would have. They had fought against countless species, each with their own weapons, but nothing prepared them for Earth's beasts. The predators didn't need advanced weaponry or sophisticated tactics. They relied on their natural instincts, honed through millions of years of evolution. They were designed to hunt, and now they were hunting the most dangerous prey the galaxy had to offer. The first major battle after the predators were unleashed was nothing short of brutal. The alien armies were caught off guard as the creatures charged into their ranks with a savagery that shattered their carefully laid plans. They had expected a conventional battle with technology and tactics dictating the outcome. Instead, they were thrown into a chaotic, primal war where they could do nothing but react to the rampaging beasts. The predators didn't need to understand alien technology. They simply destroyed whatever was in their path, regardless of its origin. The alien soldiers, highly trained and equipped with advanced weaponry, were no match for the predators. The creatures moved too quickly, too violently, and with too much power. The tigers leaped into enemy trenches, their claws rending through armor and flesh alike. The wolves ran in packs, tearing apart entire squads before the aliens could even react. Even the sharks, whose natural habitat was far from the battlefield, found their way to alien ships, smashing through hulls and causing chaos in the void of space. The sheer unpredictability of the creatures left the alien forces scrambling, their communication systems disrupted by the primal onslaught. What made the predators so terrifying wasn't just their strength or speed, it was their ability to adapt. The creatures learned quickly. In one battle, a pack of wolves found that the enemy used high-energy plasma weapons. Instead of attacking directly, they spread out, using the terrain to their advantage and drawing the enemy fire into the open, where human forces could strike. The tigers, realizing that their claws were ineffective against some of the aliens' advanced armor, began targeting the alien pilots directly, leaping into open cockpits and taking out the command structures from within. This adaptability made the predators a force unlike anything the galaxy had ever faced. Their unpredictability, combined with their ruthless efficiency, threw the enemy into complete disarray. The more the aliens tried to counter the predators, the more they realized they were fighting an enemy that refused to play by any rules. The predators didn't care about tactics or honor. They simply killed, and they killed without remorse or hesitation. Humanity's use of these predators also struck a psychological blow. The alien forces had seen plenty of war, but they had never seen anything like this. The creatures were not just deadly, they were terrifying. They represented the raw, untamed violence of Earth, a planet that had produced some of the fiercest animals in the galaxy. The aliens, used to controlled and calculated battles, were suddenly facing an onslaught that defied all logic. The unpredictability of the predators unnerved them. The galaxy's most powerful species, accustomed to domination and order, were now fighting against a force they couldn't control and didn't understand. In response, the alien factions began to devise countermeasures, but they were always a step behind. They tried deploying their own genetically modified creatures, but none of them were as savage or adaptable as Earth's apex predators. The alien beasts lacked the same killer instinct, the raw drive to hunt and destroy. And unlike the predators, who could learn and adapt on the fly, these alien creations were predictable, limited by their design. They couldn't keep up with the relentless assault of Earth's creatures. The first few victories for humanity, thanks to the predators, were hailed as massive triumphs. The predators' success wasn't just about their destructive power, it was about their ability to throw the enemy off balance, to force the aliens to react instead of plan. The war was no longer a calculated exchange of firepower. It had become a chaotic, brutal free-for-all, where the strongest creatures and the most unpredictable strategies ruled the battlefield. Despite the initial success, the humans knew that using these predators came with a cost. There was a growing concern about the long-term implications of relying on such dangerous creatures. Would the galaxy see them as allies, or would they become fearful of Earth's potential for destruction? Would humanity become the new threat in the galaxy, a species that unleashed monsters on its enemies without hesitation? But for now, the war raged on, and Earth's predators were proving their worth. As humanity's reputation grew, so did the fear and respect that other species held for them. The predators had changed the course of the war, and the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity's involvement in the war, particularly with the use of Earth's apex predators, quickly became a game-changer. The alien forces had been confident that their advanced technologies and sophisticated tactics would carry them through the conflict, but they were unprepared for the primal chaos unleashed by the creatures. The predators, unpredictable and violent, had proven to be an unstoppable force that threw the entire war into turmoil. What the aliens didn't realize was that humanity had found an advantage in its willingness to break from tradition, to embrace what was wild and instinctual. As the war progressed, the aliens' attempts to counter the predators only led to greater frustration. Their reliance on advanced technologies, while effective in certain circumstances, was no match for the ferocity and raw survival instincts of Earth's creatures. The human strategy was simple: let the predators disrupt the enemy, and then follow up with human forces to finish the job. But what quickly became apparent was that the predators were more than just tools of destruction. They were integral to the success of the human forces. The creatures were adaptable, and with each battle, they learned, evolving and refining their methods of attack. They were not just beasts, they were natural-born soldiers, capable of outthinking even the most sophisticated alien commanders. The predators had a unique advantage that no alien species could replicate. They fought without regard for strategy, following only their instinctual drives, whereas alien armies spent hours, sometimes days, meticulously planning their attacks. Earth's beasts tore through enemy lines in ways that defied logic. A tiger, for example, wouldn't waste time calculating the best way to breach an enemy's defenses. It would simply leap into the fray, using its strength and speed to create chaos, leaving the alien forces scrambling to respond. The predators, for all their raw power, had one distinct quality. They were completely unpredictable, and that made them deadly. The aliens, who relied on precision and calculated moves, found themselves caught off guard again and again by the primal ferocity of the creatures. In one significant battle, the human forces, aided by a massive group of genetically enhanced wolves, managed to tear through a heavily fortified alien position. The wolves, trained for space combat and equipped with reinforced exoskeletons, had been unleashed into a canyon where the aliens had set up their defenses. The wolves didn't hesitate. They attacked in packs, their instincts guiding them as they struck from unexpected angles. The aliens, who had prepared for conventional assault tactics, were blindsided. Their weapons, designed for precision strikes, were no match for the relentless assault from Earth's creatures. The battle ended in hours, with the alien forces utterly decimated and their command structures left in shambles. What had initially been a desperate gamble was now proving to be a decisive advantage. The predators had done what no amount of technology could. They shattered the alien forces' sense of invincibility. The enemy had underestimated Earth's wild nature, expecting the humans to fight in conventional ways. Instead, they had unleashed a force that was unpredictable, chaotic, and utterly terrifying. The alien forces had to adapt quickly, but their response was slow and ineffective. Each new tactic they developed to counter the predators was always a step behind. Meanwhile, humanity's soldiers, emboldened by the success of the predators, began to gain confidence. They saw themselves as part of something far greater than themselves, a coalition of survival and strength. As the war progressed, the human forces, now accustomed to working alongside their lethal allies, began to move with greater coordination. They didn't need to rely on technology alone. They had the predators to do the hard work for them. The soldiers' role was to keep up, to exploit the opportunities the predators created, and to finish what the creatures started. However, as the human forces continued to achieve victory after victory, cracks began to appear in the alliance. The aliens, particularly those who had once been the dominant forces in the galaxy, started to resent humanity's role in the war. Their pride had been wounded. What had started as a desperate alliance quickly turned into a more complicated dynamic. The use of Earth's predators, while effective, began to raise uncomfortable questions. What kind of species would weaponize such creatures? Could they trust humanity to use such power responsibly? The response from humanity was simple. They had done what was necessary to win. For all the alien race's sophistication, none of them had considered the potential of Earth's most dangerous creatures. Humanity had taken a calculated risk, and it had paid off. But this success came with a price. The predators, once seen as mere tools of war, had become symbols of humanity's potential for both greatness and destruction. Now, humanity was at a crossroads. They had proven their worth in battle, but could they maintain control over their monstrous allies? Or would the predators become a threat that even humanity couldn't rein in? The war reached its final stages, with humanity having secured several key victories thanks to the overwhelming power of the predators. But the true test was just beginning. The galaxy had changed, and humanity was no longer a passive observer. They had made their mark, but the question now was, what would they do with the power they had unleashed? Would they continue to be a force for destruction? Or would they become the peacekeepers the galaxy had hoped for? The answers were still unclear, but one thing was certain: the galaxy would never view humanity the same way again. As the war reached its final stages, humanity's decision to bring Earth's apex predators into battle had irrevocably altered the galaxy's power structure. What was once a conflict defined by technological superiority and calculated strategies had become a chaotic, unpredictable struggle where the primal forces of nature now held sway. The alien forces, once confident in their ability to dominate, found themselves at a severe disadvantage. The predators, with their raw power and brutal efficiency, had shattered the notion that advanced technology and tactical precision were the only ways to win a war. Now, humanity stood at the precipice of a new era, but the question remained: what would happen next? The predators, once unleashed on the battlefield, had proven to be the ultimate force multiplier. They didn't just win battles, they broke the will of the enemy. Their ferocity, relentless nature, and ability to adapt to any environment made them unparalleled in combat. However, this same unpredictability also made them a source of fear. As humanity's success in the war grew, so did the growing unease among the galactic powers. These creatures, once confined to Earth, had now become the most formidable weapons in existence. And if humanity was willing to unleash them once, could they be trusted not to do so again?
The leaders of the alien factions were forced to confront this new reality. They could no longer view humanity as a fledgling species struggling to find its place in the galaxy. Earth's raw aggression, tempered by the brutality of its predators, had given humanity a place among the most powerful species in the universe. It was a place that could not be easily undone. But with that newfound power came responsibility. The galaxy was watching, and every decision humanity made from this point forward would be scrutinized. Would they use their power to maintain peace, or would they be tempted to use it for domination? For the first time, humanity faced a dilemma far more complex than the battles it had fought. There were those within the human ranks who saw the predators not just as tools of war, but as symbols of humanity's strength, an embodiment of the wild spirit that had carried Earth's species through centuries of conflict and survival. To these individuals, the predators were the key to maintaining a dominant position in the galaxy. They argued that humanity's power could be solidified by continuing to use the predators to enforce peace, to strike down anyone who dared to challenge their authority. But not everyone within humanity shared this view. As the war came to a close, a movement began to take shape, one that called for restraint. These individuals, recognizing the damage the predators had caused, feared what humanity could become if it embraced such a path. The predators had proven their worth in combat, but they had also exposed the darker side of human nature. Would humanity become a race that relied on the fear and destruction of others? Or would they find a way to evolve past the need for such monstrous weapons? The galaxy, too, had mixed feelings about the role humanity had played. Some of the more progressive alien races, those that had initially welcomed humanity into the fold, now began to reconsider their positions. While they acknowledged the success humanity had achieved, they couldn't ignore the brutality of the tactics employed. The predators, for all their effectiveness, had left a trail of destruction that was impossible to ignore. Some alien leaders began to question whether it was wise to allow humanity to remain so powerful, fearing that the same weapons that had brought them victory could one day be turned against them. In contrast, certain factions within the galaxy, particularly those who had once been humanity's adversaries, began to see the human race in a new light. They had witnessed the overwhelming force of Earth's predators and realized that they could no longer afford to underestimate humanity. Where once they had viewed humanity as a fledgling power, they now saw them as a force that could reshape the galaxy. These factions were less concerned with the morality of humanity's actions and more focused on the potential threat posed by such an unpredictable species. The predators had shown that humanity was willing to embrace the darkest elements of its nature to secure its place in the galaxy, and that was something that could not be ignored. The uneasy alliance between humanity and the galaxy's other races began to fracture. Some species sought to negotiate with humanity, hoping to keep the peace and ensure that the predators would not be unleashed again. Others, however, began to prepare for the possibility that humanity might one day turn its power against them. Tensions escalated as the question of humanity's future role in the galaxy remained unanswered. As humanity stood on the brink of becoming a galactic superpower, the true cost of their victory became apparent. The Predators had won the war, but they had also left a deep scar on the galaxy's psyche. Humanity had proven that it was capable of great strength, but the question remained, could they be trusted to wield that strength responsibly? The Predators, in all their destructive glory, had shown the galaxy what humanity was capable of, but they had also exposed the fragility of peace. In the aftermath of the war, humanity was left to confront its own future. The Predators had ensured victory, but at what cost? The galaxy was forever changed, and so too was Earth. Humanity had proven that it could adapt, survive, and even thrive in the harshest of conditions. But now, with the war behind them, the question was whether humanity would be able to learn from the destruction they had caused. Would they use their newfound power to build a better future, or would they succumb to the same impulses that had led them to unleash the Predators in the first place? The fate of the galaxy and of humanity itself now hung in the balance.